Senator Paterson.
Thank you, Mr President. Well, on the question of the GST, I am very proud to rise to contribute to this debate as a Victorian senator, because it is indeed Victoria which can stand very proud and tall as one of the states in the federation which has been a net contributor to the federation since federation. In fact, casting my eyes around the chamber right now, I believe myself, Senator Hume, yourself, Mr President, and Senator Fifield are the only senators in the chamber at this very moment who can proudly say that they represent a state that has been a net contributor to federation since federation. Senator Bilyk is most unkind to her fellow Tasmanians. On my recent trips to Tasmania, for the by-election to support the great Brett Whiteley, a few months earlier for Tasmania's state election to support state candidates, what I observed of Tasmania, and I know Senator Cameron is a frequent and fond visitor to Tasmania also, is that Tasmania is booming. And no wonder Tasmania is booming under the twin leadership of a coalition government here in Canberra and the outstanding leadership of the Hodgman government in Tasmania. Tasmania is doing well because it's got a good state government that is focused on free enterprise and jobs and economic growth, not on environmental radicalism or locking up the state. Tasmania is doing well because it's got a federal government which is focused on the economy and jobs and prosperity, and a federal government which is supportive of Tasmania. We have here in this chamber a very dedicated, very eloquent and very passionate team of Tasmanian coalition senators who work very hard every day to ensure that their state's interests are well protected. We have my friend Senator Duniam. We have Senator Betts, who made a contribution to this debate earlier, Senator Bushby, of course, our Chief Government Whip, Senator Colbeck, the only frontbencher from Tasmania, and of course our most recent new addition, Senator Martin, our new national colleagues from Tasmania. They are a strong, united team and they are effective at advocating for Tasmania. The evidence of their effectiveness is clear for all to see, and not just in the new GST distribution, although that is a very important recent addition. This debate seeks to impugn the integrity and the motives and the contribution of our Prime Minister. But it was, of course, our Prime Minister who, not that long ago, as Treasurer, devised a solution to the GST distribution problem which had eluded all previous governments. This is not a new problem, but it is a problem which this government and the Prime Minister Morrison, who as Treasurer, took head-on and addressed. And he addressed it in such a way that, yes, dealt with the very valid concerns of my West Australian colleagues who have been for years raising the problems of the GST distribution and the way in which their state has been disadvantaged of it. It effectively dealt with their concerns. But at the same time it did so without taking anything at all away from any other state. In fact, I have a table here published in the Financial Review in July this year which summarises the boost of the GST distribution pool by state out to 26-27, which is the time period over which this solution will be proposed. And this is how each state fares under that solution. There is $351 million of net benefit going to New South Wales. There is $425 million of benefit going to Victoria. There is $518 million of benefit going to Queensland. There is $3.3 billion of benefit going to Western Australia. There is $257 million of benefit going to South Australia. There is $112 million of benefit going to Tasmania. There is even $46 million of benefit to the ACT and $189 million of benefit to the Northern Territory. So every state and every territory, Tasmania, from Tasmania to Western Australia included, will be better off under the GST distribution solution devised by our former Treasurer and now Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. He is being very unfairly maligned in this debate. Also unfairly maligned is the Tasmanian Liberal Senate team. Not only have they secured a strong GST deal for their state, they've secured a range of other generous supports for Tasmania, which in the 2018-19 budget amounted to $3.8 billion. That included, of course, the GST disbursements to the state of $2.5 billion, but also specific purpose payment funding of $1.3 billion, record funding for schools of $446 million, which is an increase of $7.2 million since the last budget, record infrastructure funding of $142 million, which is an increase of $27.3 million since the last budget. Tasmania is doing well, Australia is doing well under this Prime Minister.